Welcome to the LightingMinds Show. I'm your host, Sunil. This podcast is about exploring Indian philosophy, the meaning behind the concepts in Indian philosophy, Indian culture, with a sound basis, with evidence-based basis of why those concepts are the way they are. It is not a random explanation, rather a way for the modern world to connect to the past in a very meaningful way. Did you know that this year, the lunar year that started on March 22nd, Chandramana Yugadi, is actually 13 months long? I'll explain you why. Hi, I'm Sunil, your host of the LightingMinds Show, and today we will demystify why there is a leap year, who decides it's a leap year, and all the other math behind that. So let's look at why there is a leap year and who decides there is a leap year. To explain that, I need to show you a math. Hopefully that opens up. And let's see. Okay, so it opened up. You need some basics about the duration of each of these years. So to look at the lunar year, first look at what we are already familiar with. That's the solar year. The solar year is, Gregorian year is also a solar year. And Sauramana Yugadi, the Sauramana calendar that starts April 14th to April 14th is also the true year of 365 days. So that is what is called a Samvatsara. So in the Indian traditions, Samvatsara, by its own very etymology of the name, means a true year, a perfect year, and the perfect year is 365 days long. Now, if you look at the lunar year is made up of 12 months of lunar cycle. So if you look at the lunar cycle, in the lunar cycle, moon takes, so let me write it down here. So the moon orbit around the earth it takes about 27.3 days for the moon to orbit around the earth. And that's the reason why you have the 27 constellations, because the moon takes about 1 day to cover one constellation. So Ashwini, it'll spend 1 day, approximately 1 day in Ashwini, then move to Bharani, another day in Bharani, and then Kritika another day. So the same 27 nakshatras, 27 days. But then you also notice that there is a fraction. And the way they handle the fraction is they add an extra nakshatra, which is the 28th nakshatra. If you did not know that, the 28th nakshatra is called Abhijit nakshatra, and it is a fraction of a nakshatra pada. So it occurs between in Capricorn, in the Makara Rashi, between Uttarashada's 4th pada and Shravana's 1st pada. So that is a fraction, that is the 28th nakshatra. So now the moon is orbiting. If the moon is orbiting and if the moon cycle was just taken as the number of days taken by the moon to go orbit around the earth, then it would have been just 27.3 days. But then what is going on is simultaneously the earth is also moving around the sun. So earth is orbiting the sun and the moon is orbiting the earth. So there are two different motions that need to be taken care of. And what happens if you look at these motions? So to measure any motion, you need a plane of reference. So in the Indian traditions of astronomical calculations, the plane of reference is the fixed stars. All the constellations are assumed to be fixed, and since they are very, very, very far away, there is no actual change in many, many lifetimes of these stars. So they are, for all purposes, a fixed plane. So with that respect to that, what happens is, since Earth is also orbiting the sun at the same time that the moon is orbiting, there is an extra delay that is introduced with respect to, if we count, I think it's better to let me stop sharing this and I'll come back to this. Let me share the, one second. Yeah, I think I'll share the Rashi chart here. So this is today's Rashi chart. So if you look at it, this is the first 0th degree of Aries or Mesha, which is Ashwini, 0 degrees. So if we count, so this is the background stars. This is like, if this is the Earth, and if we are looking at the sky, and then the sky is divided into, even though there are no divisions, if you assume that the sky is divided into 12 signs, then if the moon starts here, and as it's going, it's taking about a day, but because the Earth is also moving around, it's going orbiting the sun, for the moon to start from the 0 degrees of Aries and go all the way around and to come back to 0 degrees of Aries would actually take 29 and a half days, 29 and a fraction days, and not 27 days. The 27 days would have been a true orbit, but because since the Earth is also moving and the measurement is with reference to the fixed stars, then you are measuring when the moon starts from here and come back. If you add the Earth's revolution, its orbit around the sun, also into the equation, then it's actually taking 29.5 days to go around the Earth with reference to the fixed stars. Now, that is the reason why a month is 30 days long, because a month is basically based on the cycle of the moon. 1 month is 1 lunar cycle. So, and if you look at the Gregorian calendar, the reason why there are 30 days is because of the length of the lunar cycle is 30 days. But what happens if you make 12 months equal 12 months with 30 days? You get 360 days. But a true year is 365 or 366 days. So there are extra 5 to 6 days. And so that's the reason why certain months, I have no idea if there was any basis, but I believe it's randomly, those 1 day is added to January is 31, then March is 31, May is 31, then July and August are 31 days each. So if you look at it, there are 7 months with 31 days. So that means it's 7 extra days. But then certain days are removed from, like if you remove 2 days from February, so you get only 28 days. So you're left with 5 extra days, with February being a short month. Again, I don't know what the basis for that is, but then the other days are distributed across random months. As far as I know, it is just random months. So that's how they are in the Gregorian calendar, syncing the lunar month and the solar month. Even though it's not a lunar calendar, it's very similar to a lunar calendar, because the whole concept of a month being 30 days comes from the lunar cycle of 30 days, almost 30 days to go with the fixed zodiac, to go from one point and cycle back to the same point on the zodiac. Now we understand that concept, and let me go back to the whiteboard, and we will see, we will see, I'll explain the concept further. Okay, so we also saw that the moon, with respect to the zodiac, also it takes actually 29.5, close to 30 days. So if you just keep to 29.5 days times 12 months, that would be about 354, 355 days. So the lunar months, the lunar year is called Vatsara. So the solar month is Samvatsara, or the true year, or the perfect year. And the lunar year, did I say solar month? I meant solar year, is the perfect year. The lunar year is Vatsara. It's just a year, and it's made up of 12 months of 29.5 days, even though a month is now approximated to 30 days. So in that case, the lunar year takes about 355 days to complete. So now you can see that between the solar year and the lunar year, there is about 10 days that is short. And now as you go year after year, those 10 days gets added on. So approximately every 2.5 years, you have about a month. If you look at every 3 years, there is 30 days that accumulates. That is, moon and the sun go out of sync, and you get an extra month. And that is the extra month that is called adhika maasa. That is a leap month. So instead of distributing those extra days into the months and making it 31, like what we see in the Gregorian calendar, the lunar cycle is off sync with the solar cycle for about 2.5 years. And then there is an extra month that gets added on, and the lunar month gets again synced back up to the solar month. Again, it goes out of sync because the lunar year is it's always short. It's 355 days. So it's never the same. So these two, one cycle is bigger, one cycle is true and bigger, and the other cycle is shorter. And so there's always one extra leap month that comes up every approximately 2.5 to 3 years. Again, initially I asked you who decides when that extra is any declaration from any priest or any Swamiji, any leader that decides when that extra month is added? No. So, like everything in our traditions, the concept comes from just the rules and not personalities. If you look at any of the things that we celebrate in terms of festivals, the length of the year and all of that, it is always derived from mathematical concepts or concepts in general, and never a declaration or a decree from an authority figure. It's never that. Now let us see why an extra month is added next month, and that's adhika Shravana. So this time the Shravana, or in Hindi it's called Savan, but the real Samskrita word is Shravana. So the Shravana is adhika. So I'll explain to you why that extra month is just not randomly added, but the mathematics of it itself determines where that extra month actually goes. So now let's look at how that is derived. Let me share again the Rashi chart. So before the Rashi chart, let me share the Panchanga. You might all be aware of Drik Panchanga. So the Drik Panchanga is a very, basically Drik means that Panchanga that's observation based. So theoretically, when you calculate over time, there is some fraction error that creeps up, that builds on, and therefore over time the theory, the math, and the real observation go out of sync. So drik means as you see. Observation corrects those things and bring observation and theory back in sync. Very important concept. So observation is the primary determinant of concepts and not just theoretical math. It's a very important thing. Now, let's look at why that extra month gets added. So today is July 16th. It's about afternoon, about 3 o'clock here in Houston, Texas. So you can see that the Amavasya here in Houston is on the 17th. It's tomorrow. There's the Amavasya. And you can see today is the Chaturdashi, and actually Chaturdashi ends and Amavasya is already started in the morning. You can see that the Karka Sankranti, that means the sun moving to Karka Rashi, has started. That means it's about 3 o'clock here, but Houston time about 6, I think 6:02 or 6:03, the sun moves according to Drik Panchanga calculations. These are all not very specific. So around 6 o'clock this evening, you will see the sun move to Cancer or Karka Rashi. And you can also see that the Amavasya is happening tomorrow, the end of the month. Now, what is the concept of the month? To understand the concept of the month, I want to show you, let's go back to the previous month. And then we can look at, so if you look at June 17th was the Amavasya. And you can see that the Mithuna Sankranti, that means the sun moving to Gemini or Mithuna Rashi, occurred on the 15th of June. So a true month or Naija Maasa is a month in which the sun moves from one zodiac sign to another zodiac sign. So the lunar month has to sync with the solar month. So in this case, you can see that the Amavasya is on the 17th, and the sun is actually moving from Rishabh Rashi or Taurus to Mithun Rashi or Gemini on the 15th of June. So there is a solar transit, that means sun moving from one Rashi to another zodiac sign within 2 Amavasya. So a lunar month is one Amavasya. After one Amavasya is done, that Pratipat to the next Amavasya. So you can see that a solar transit has happened. If we go back to, let's say, go back to April or May, so you can see in May what has happened here. The Amavasya is on the 19th, and you can see that the Rishabha Sankranti, or the sun moving to Taurus, was May 15th. So it was May 15th, and the Amavasya is the 19th. So you can see that the Amavasya is moving towards the Sankranti every month. So it was on the 19th, and the sun's transit was on the 15th of May. But as you can see, like if you go to the next month, in June, you can see the transit of the sun into Gemini is on the 15th, and the Amavasya is on the 17th, so it's moved closer. But now if you go to July, which is the current month, you can see that the Karka Sankranti is actually on Amavasya. Actually, Amavasya has already started in the morning, even though at sunrise it was Chaturdashi. The Sankranti, or the sun moving from Gemini to Cancer, has happened on the Sankranti itself, right? So, or the Sankranti has happened on the just before the Amavasya itself. Okay. So now see what happens. So I said the true definition of a lunar month is between that Pratipat, or the first after the new moon, to the next new moon, there has to be a solar transit from one zodiac sign to another zodiac sign. Now let's see the coming month. So if you see the coming month, the Sankranti has happened on the Amavasya. So if you look at its 16th, and on the 18th, it's Tuesday, coming Tuesday, a new lunar month starts. And if you see when the next transit of the sun is, if you see when the next transit of the sun is, where the, so if you look at the next Amavasya that's coming up, which is August 15th is the Amavasya. This is all with respect to the local time, Houston local time. So it is 15th of August. But then you can see that the sun moving from Cancer to Leo is actually after the next Amavasya. So that means from Tuesday, which is the 18th of July, to August 15th, when the lunar month ends, there is no there is no solar transit from one sign to another. So it's actually, there is no transit between July 18th to August 15th. And therefore that month is an extra month. It is because there is no transit within two new moons. And that's what's happened now. And that is what determined that it is the adhika maasa, or the leap month. There's no person that has decreed when that month has to fall. The mathematics of it determines by itself where the extra month falls. So the leap month falls now, which is the next, from the 18th to August 15th, which is the adhika Shravana, because there is no solar transit between July 18th to August 15th, when the whole moon has orbited around the earth, but the sun has not moved from one zodiac sign to another as seen from the earth. And therefore, it is considered a leap month. And then if you see from next month onwards, so from this Pratipat, which is the Shravana, Nija Shravana, or the true Shravana, month of Shravana, you can see it's going to the 17th. So if you move to the next month, like if you look at August, now September, you can see Amavasya is moving back. So it's on the 14th, and you can see that the solar transit is Amavasya, and then where the solar transit, it has to be, and I think, it's on the 17th. Yes, Kanya Sankranti, yes, the 17th. So you can see that it is increasing. So if you go to the next month, October, then it's Ashvaja Masa. You can see the Amavasya here, and then the Tula Sankramana is after Amavasya. So it's moving after, like if you go to November, and if you see Amavasya is on the 12th, you can see the Amavasya moving back, and the Sankranti is on the 16th. So the Sankranti, and Sankranti is occurring further and further away from Amavasya, and then again it loses sync, and then it comes back to sync in the next 2.5 years. So that is the reason why the extra month is adhika maasa, or the extra month is now, because the Sankranti to Karka is going to happen today on Amavasya, Tatkalika Amavasya, and there is no zodiac transit in this month from 18th to next Amavasya on August 15th. The sun just stays in Karka and actually moves to Simha after August 15th, I think August 17th or something like that. And that's the reason why, because the sun is staying in just one Rashi between two new moons, it is considered an extra month. And I've also already explained to you why it's an extra month, because of the 10-day difference between the true solar month and the true solar year, which is 365 days, and the lunar year, which is about 355 days. And therefore, they go out of sync 10 days every year. And then about 2.5, 3 years, it is about 30 days out of sync. So it's a month added extra. So you bring back the moon's cycle or the lunar year in sync with the solar year. So that is the reason why it is 13-month year this year. Hopefully you have, let me stop sharing here. Hopefully you have understood the reason why the concept of adhika maasa exists and how it is derived, why it is this month, and it is not decreed by any individual. There is no authority figure in our traditions. It is the math that dictates when these things occur. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I have made this leap month, the adhika maasa, more meaningful and understandable. Again, I will be coming back with more episodes on demystifying concepts in Indian traditions. Until then,